Good evening and welcome back to the Behind the Leazes podcast, the official podcast for Newcastle United on the local TV network. It's the Fab Four back again. We've got Andy, Rob and Adam. That's what I'm going to call it for the rest of the season. Or maybe it's just until we get a win. Of course, we are going to be talking about that 1-1 draw. It feels like a defeat though, that 1-1 draw against Brighton last night. And of course, we are talking about the managerial issue as well, or maybe lack of issue now with what we saw at the ground last night. Andy, I'll come to you first, mate. How are you doing, pal? You all right?
I'm great, mate. Yeah, it's been a nice weekend, so I'm doing good.
Oh, nice. Oh, thanks for calling this, sir. Feels like a teacher. We've got Rob as well. How are you doing, pal?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I think yesterday was on paper was a decent point. I know we'll talk about it a lot more. I mean, I wasn't at the game, unlike Adam, who had a very long journey there and back. So I felt quite gutted actually yesterday morning when I woke up and wasn't getting on the bus. But then I felt quite relieved when the game ended. So there you go.
I know. Well, someone who maybe is relieved to be off that bus now is Adam. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing all right, thank you. I think I got on the bus 6:30 yesterday, got back to the house at 5 in the morning. So yeah, very long day. And again, today when I clocked watching women's football, so I hadn't had any chance to sort of relax at the minute. But yeah, it feels good. The result yesterday, I mean, yeah, some people will feel like it was 2 points dropped, but I think a point at the Amex is a decent point when you think about it. It's just only popping his bumble all season long. But it turns to me though, I'm doing all right, not too bad.
I called you Mr. Day, no days off last week when you were at the under 23s. You're following that trend, mate. Mr. No days off here again. Of course, we are talking about that 1-1 draw against Brighton at the Amex. Andy, I'll come to you first. We had a little chat in the WhatsApp group when we saw the match day poster, and it had John Joe Shelby, Jeff Hendrick and Sean Longstaff in. It fills you with a lot of determination and a lot of sort of pride in the club, doesn't it?
That's a midfield three I've been dying to see, mate. I just saw it and obviously I sent it in the group. I was just like, what is this? It pretty much sums up the state where the club is at the minute, and it's just put Maximin and Shaw on it every week. Everyone likes to look at Shaw. Just put Shaw on it.
Exactly. Grant Pringle, if you're watching this podcast, because we've got a feeling that you do, we'll want Sid Maximin, Callum Wilson, and Fabian Shaw on there next week, and just to prove our theory. But, 1-1, it might seem, like Rob said, quite a good draw on paper, but looking at the way we performed in the second half, it is quite frustrating to see us only come out there with a point. That's Randy, sorry.
Yeah, especially, I mean, we'll get to it, but obviously the VAR decision at the end that didn't even need to go to VAR, and then they have, was it Duffy went in goal?
It was Dunk, I think.
Dunk,
yeah. It was one of the two. They're the same person to me. They're just morphed. But no, you have an outfield player go in goal, and instead of just absolutely drilling the ball at the net, which is going to be your best chance of scoring, Shelby plays one of the worst balls I've ever seen played in professional football to just the corner of the box, and it ends up going to nothing. And I was like, why? It's so logical to just smash it at the goal, but no, John Joe Shelby hasn't got football in Britain. That pretty much sealed the deal for me on Shelby last night.
It's quite surprising as well with Shelby because he does usually have quite a good long ball on him. But he opted not to shoot, and like you said, one of the worst long balls we've ever seen, which is, as much as we're slating him, very un-Shelby-like. Rob, I'll come to you next, of course. That first half performance, I think, was nothing short of dreadful. Then the second half performance was, clear as day. It was fantastic. We're really on the front foot. Yeah. It's frustrating, I think, because we started with 5 at the back, we finished with 5 at the back as well. But it was just frustrating because we know it was definitely a must-win game. This.
Yeah, it was a huge game. I mean, at the end of the day, we haven't won all season and we haven't played well all season. For me to sit here and say I expected us to go and get a win would have been an absolute lie. I think I would have taken 1-1 before the game even started. But the fact that Norwich went and got their first win of the season just a few hours beforehand, and we were the only team still yet to win, I was hoping that maybe that would be a little bit of something for these players to go, you know what it is, we actually do have to go and win today, because it is getting a bit scary. I think the fact that we did get a point and it kept us from being bottom of the league is a bit of a psychological boost for us to not be sat bottom of the table going into the international break. But at the same time, I also hope that the fact that we are the only team still yet to win this season would have been that boost. What more can we give these players at the moment? The new owners, the atmosphere at Spurs, and then look at the Crystal Palace game, and then going into this one. These are the kind of things that I'm thinking these players are going to really think, you know what, we're going to have to go out there and prove ourselves today. And as I say, that first half performance did exactly the opposite of that. As I say, watching all of the Instagram stories of people on the train down to Brighton or on the bus, and I'm thinking, if we go and win today, I'm gonna be gutted that I wasn't there. And then honestly, at halftime, I'm thinking I'm gonna go out and watch some fireworks now because this is absolutely useless. And you know what it is, and again, second half, I actually thought, as Eddie Howe popped down into the dressing room and had a quick word with these players, because they definitely came out and played better second half. And again, Brighton, as good as they've been this season, I don't think they've played their best game. So again, on a different day, and when you lose and things don't go for you, when you win and things do go for you, just those little things like Wilson getting hacked down through on goal with minutes to go. Another day that could have been our winning goal. So, yeah, a lot more frustration as a Newcastle fan, and I think it's definitely set up Eddie Howe with a big task ahead of him.
Yeah, definitely a lack of fireworks in that first half for Newcastle, especially. We mentioned Eddie Howe. He was in the stands for the game yesterday. I saw on Twitter, apparently, back in the day when Ruud Gullit was the manager, or when he was just about to be confirmed as the manager, I know we hate his name on Tyneside, but apparently at half-time, Newcastle were losing the game that he was watching in the stands, and he ran down to the dressing room. Maybe Eddie Howe has done something just like that, like you said. Adam, coming to you next, of course. You travelled down, you watched the game at the ground. What was it like, sort of being all in there with the fans? Was it a good atmosphere in the away end?
Well, yeah, it's a sim. Every away game, really, atmosphere I was always going to be ready for. But in terms of the first half, though, it was one of the worst performances I've seen in some time. The fact that we knew that Norwich have already won a couple of hours earlier, and we still come out and play a defensive, negative-minded football. What could you expect from this team anymore? These players who haven't won a match in 11 or 12 now in all competitions. It's a disgrace. How have we not won a game? Norwich have won a game and they're like the worst team ever. So I don't know what's going on in Newcastle. But yes, the point on paper is good. But again, if you can't get the results at home or results at these winnable matches, the point's going to be meaningless at the end of the day. But that first half though was shocking, and it definitely killed the crowd for the second half.
Yeah, we mentioned Norwich did beat Brentford, 2-1 in the end. We were bottom for a little while, but thankfully we did get that point. Andy, going into the international break, if we would have been bottom, how do you think devastating would that have been for the outlook on the rest of the season?
I think at the minute, I think we're all just hoping that we're going to get the new manager bug and just kick on straight away. So I think had we started bottom, I don't think it would have been too much of an impact with Eddie Howe coming in, because there's already that overshadowing it anyway. Obviously, it was just horrible to look at, wasn't it, yesterday before we actually kicked off, seeing us back there and getting sort of flashbacks to the 15-16 season and the 08-09 season, those seasons we went down. It's never good to see a team at the bottom of the table. We've just got the luxury to know that better things are actually going to start coming.
Yeah, and in the first half, of course, Brighton did get the penalty that they scored. What was your thoughts on the penalty? I thought personally it was quite soft.
The way the game is now, it is a penalty, and as annoying as it is as to be on the other side of it, if that was to be one of our players at the other end, I'd be shouting for it. So, but Trossard did go down a lot. I feel like he's Brighton's new version of Knockout, because I couldn't bite him when they were in the championship. But no, I think we're just really clumsy at the back. It's not the first time this season we've had a giveaway penalty like that, and I feel like with the centre halves that Jones was playing, that's always going to happen, and they're always going to get caught out because they haven't got the pace to keep up either. So they're gonna trip players up, they're gonna knock them over, and we're gonna get these VAR decisions against us, unfortunately.
In terms of penalties as well, Adam, I'm going to come to you on this. You had quite a good view of the penalty appeal in the first half for Newcastle. Clark went down. It seemed like maybe it's a whack of the arm or something like that. What did it look like from your perspective?
Well, speaking of that, actually, I mean, it wasn't that clear from where I was sitting because I was obviously in the stadium in terms of the weren't, but I did feel like it was a penalty at first. I haven't watched the replays back, but I did feel like with the way Clark went into them, I just feel it was reckless. So, yes, it's probably soft or whatever people might say on Twitter, but I didn't feel like it was a penalty for my initial reaction. So, yeah, again, though, went to VAR and the people of VAR went, you know what, that's a penalty, and that's what it was at the end of the day. So, yeah, we can complain about being a penalty with one, but we deserve to be 1-0 down that first half. It was shocking. So, regardless of how we got that goal, they deserved the point.
Yeah, and in the second half, we definitely came into our own. Rob, I'll come to you on this. 90th minute of the game, you know, Wilson goes through. The win's there. You know, he gets around the keeper. All he has to do is slot it home. At this point, I'm screaming at my telly going, God, we're going to score. We're going to score. Yeah. Wilson goes down and, you know, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Way, you know, it's absolutely. It was so frustrating to see because that was the win, and you know something that the keepers had to do has really cost us an extra 2 points there. How frustrating was it when you saw what happened?
I mean, massively frustrating. As I say, this is just the way it happens. You know, when things are going bad, things keep going bad, and when you're winning, you seem to just get goals out of thin air. You know. You look at, you know, Manchester United under Alex Ferguson and all that kind of thing. You know, these last-minute goals and these things that just grab them the 3 points and just grab them that. Even look at Liverpool now, even when they're not playing the best. I think they actually lost today. But, you know, they're just pulling those goals. And when you've got players like Salah that can just grab you that extra something, you know, for us at the minute, we're the complete opposite. You know, we can't get that extra bit over the line. And when we do have a chance, it's just quite not going our way. And that was a perfect example of it. If we were flying high and winning games, you could see Wilson run round him and score on a day like that. I mean, they'll look at it and say it was a good red card because, you know, that has saved them 2 points. And at the end of the day, it is extremely frustrating for us. And had it been in the box and we could have had the penalty and scored it, then it kind of gives you the justice that you deserve. But the fact that it was outside the box, and then as Andy spoke about earlier, the fact that we had a free kick with the outfield player and goal, and we still don't even shoot, is also, it makes you even more frustrated because all you're thinking is put it on target. Hopefully the bloke in net isn't going to catch it. But yeah, I mean, as I say, it's just the rub of the green. It's just the way things are going for us now, and all you can hope for is that new manager, new buzz, and almost like a new start of the season is the way I'm looking at it, coming into Brentford in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, hopefully new, better things to come in the next couple of weeks. Adam, you know, once again, you're in the crowd. There must have been so much frustration just all around you when that moment happened with Sanchez and Wilson.
Well, we were screaming at first because it was so obvious that he just took the Callum Wilson out and just played on. It didn't even stop it straight away. They had to go with the VAR and then send the guy off. But I don't blame the Brighton goalkeeper because at the end of the day, I mean, he took one for the team. I expect Dora to do the same in that situation. So, yeah, yes, not good there, but again, though it's Brighton 2 points, so you can't complain too much. But yeah, it was just frustration in the end, especially when again with Show, we just didn't even try to shoot. I mean, yeah, so at the end of the game, though, like even when Shelby didn't shoot, like a couple minutes later, like we were just time wasting on letting the ball go out of play. I mean, we didn't even try to score whenever we just played for 1-1 draw. Even though there's a centre half standing goal. I mean, yeah, it was a bit of a shambles at the end, but again, no, they just played for the points. And in terms of Brentford 2 weeks' time, this is a team that's lost to Norwich and Burnley in the last 2 matches. So if you can't beat them at home, I mean, we deserve to go down.
Of course, yeah, we'll talk about the Brentford fixture towards the end of the podcast. Let's move on now to the managerial situation. It seems like we've got one man, Eddie Howe. He was at the game last night. Was very, very unimpressed, I think, when that first goal went in. And it cut to the camera of him absolutely shaking his head. So don't think he was very impressed with the first half performance. Hopefully a bit better in the second half. Once again, Amanda Staveley there with him. Andy, we'll come to you first on this. You know, Eddie Howe, it's good to see him in the stands, and you know, what do you think of his sort of reputation as a manager, and do you think he's the right man for the job?
I think the main concern everyone's got with Eddie Howe is how long out of the game he's been. But Look, I said this when it got announced about him coming in, that we were crying for Eddie Howe while Bruce was in. So why should anything change now? Personally, we're in the midst of this fresh start. So anyone I'm willing to welcome with open arms, especially in the position we're in as well. I think Eddie Howe will do a good job. I think he's an attacking coach who can exploit the attacking talents that we've got, because Steve Bruce hasn't done that. And then I would have expected Graham Jones to. He hasn't done it. But the main thing I'm happy to see go is with Eddie Howe, we're probably not going to be playing 5 at the back, which means we're not going to have Kraft, who's a right back, playing at centre half. Lascelles maybe deserves to stay in the team, but your best centre halves are Shaw and Fernandez. They should be your starting 2, and then hopefully he realises that the likes of Shelby and Hendrick just shouldn't have any part of the game at all, because they don't. At the end of the day, they don't deserve to be there. They're not Premier League players, mate. They're not at all. Especially when you've got the likes of Joe Willock on the bench, who we've just paid 25 million for, who's a brilliant player. He's just been very unfortunately played out of position for not even the most part of the season. For like every game this season, he's not played in his natural position. So if that's what Eddie Howe can do, come and start playing players where they're meant to play, I'm all for it, mate. And I'm quite happy to see him come in.
Nice one. Yeah, I think I'm with you guys as well. Definitely the right man for the job. There was also reports that, Mike Ashley, Lee Charney, they were looking at getting Eddie Howe in even before any of the takeover news happened, even before the takeover went through. So I think it's good that, he's been on the radar for a while, so they'll sort of know quite a lot about him. And of course, we know quite a lot about him as well. Rob, coming up to you next, Eddie Howe, is he the right man? Do you echo Andy's thoughts?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, there's a few Newcastle fans who are a bit 50-50 on it. I was a little bit 50-50 on it. I think if Eddie Howe had have come in the day after Steve Bruce left, I think it would have been pure elation and a lot of cheering from all the fans. I just feel like because we've been linked with everyone else and their dog, there was talks of Conte, Mourinho, which, to be honest, I really didn't ever see happening. But just the fact that there was a lot of talk, we were linked with a lot of people, and then 2.5, 3 weeks later, we now get Eddie Howe, and people are kind of thinking, well, we've taken 3 weeks to get the bloke we could have had, 5 before, while Ashley was still here, that kind of thing. So I totally agree with the slight, I don't know, pressure it's kind of put on the situation of everyone was desperate for something to happen, and now it has. And, Emery was supposedly going to come through, and Fonseca, and I've been researching all these managers I've never heard of and trying to get excited about all of them. And then we've ended up with the guy who was the first person we were linked with. So it feels like it's gone round the houses. But as I say, had you offered me Eddie Howe 3 weeks ago, I would have said yes. So I've got to look at it the same way and look at it the same way today and say yes again. I think he knows tactics, which is something we've not had from a manager in a couple of years. So yeah, I think he speaks well in his interviews. I think he's got a lot of good things to say. And at the end of the day, we need someone, down to earth who's gonna work with the players we've got. I think expecting a manager to come in and spend big money. I mean, we need to spend some money quick in January, but at the same time, we also have to work with the players we've got. And I think Eddie Howe's that kind of manager. So yeah, I think whoever it was going to be, they were going to have a big job on their hands, and I'm hoping Eddie Howe is up to the task.
And, Unai Emery was mentioned at the start of the week. It was quite widely reported by, Sky Sports News, Keith Downey, Pete Graves, a lot of other different journalists, and it looked like it was set to happen. Of course, it didn't. And I think maybe the management from Amanda Stavely, Mayor Dad, the Reuben brothers, the front face of this takeover, maybe they were just a bit too confident with getting that through. They've held their hands up. They were like, you know what, maybe we'll jump the gun with this a little bit. We'll be a bit more cautious next time. Of course, we do like having a bit of transparency, knowing what's going on, but maybe they've just overshared a little bit there. Adam, what do you reckon?
Well, there was a couple of problems I had with Eddie Howe's appointment. I mean, the first one being is just how long it took again, was Rob was saying before, 3 weeks to get the guy in there. Let's be real, the second Steve Bruce got sacked, you could have rang him up and went, listen, you want to come to Newcastle, he would have done it. I mean, the guy's jobless at the minute. Newcastle's job for him is the biggest move of his career. In terms of Unai Emery, I mean, Yeah, I don't know what happened to that one in the end. It looked like it was going to happen one night, and then the next morning he's came out and he's this statement saying, "Oh, I'm not coming to Newcastle." But yeah, the only problem with that one being that we know that Eddie Howe wasn't the first choice. You know that the club was trying to get our people in before him, and again before when Mike Ashley's still around, I think we could have got this guy. And so, yes, once I've heard all these big names pop out, I mean, without being harsh to the guy, I really didn't want him in. But after a day or so, I kind of thought about it, and I feel like as a short-term option, I do feel like he can fit the bill. But in the future, though, I do want to obviously venture and get someone else in. But as of now, though, I mean, we kind of can't get anyone else, so I'll be more content with it at the minute.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think what people need to realise is, we have just been taken over, but we are still basically the same club for about 3 weeks ago. Maybe we've got a bit more reputation, but we are still Newcastle United. We are still in the relegation zone of the Premier League. So I think people need to just come back down to earth. And I think the appointment of Eddie Howe is maybe just a nice little cloud that'll bring people back onto their feet. Let's hope he's good. I'd like to see him in the dugout for the Brentford game because, well, you'd assume it would be done tomorrow. Hopefully, I was surprised that it wasn't all said and done and announced tonight or today even. But let's hope it is done in the next week or so. Moving on, we will talk about the Brentford game. Of course, it's a couple of weeks from now, but it's still really, really important. Brentford in quite poor form recently. Losing against Norwich, I think. The worst team in the league. A team that actually sacked their manager after they beat them, quite surprisingly. Andy, we'll come to you first. What do you think needs to change if we are going to get a win against Brentford?
Everything. To be big. No, I think, like I said before, Liam, I think Eddie Howe's he's obviously going to want to implement his style of football on the team straight away. And I have the feeling the announcement will be tomorrow. So he's probably going to be a trainer tomorrow and working with the players, which is great. And I mean, it's not like we've got many international players anyway, so he's going to be straight in with the whole camp basically. But what I want to see is four at the back and Maxman, Willock, Wilson, and Miggy maybe as a front four, and that'll have to be Miggy on the right hand side, play Willock in just behind Wilson, because I think that's where we get our best football from going forward. And obviously, Shelby, I'd like to see him maybe become an apprentice in the kit room. Hendrick, maybe clean the gym or something after everyone's done in there. And just, give Lewis a go. I mean, look, we all love Matt Ritchie. Like, he's been a brilliant servant for the club, but you can see he's starting to lack the pace to keep up with, especially in the position he's in. He's going to get murdered by anyone that's young and quick. And I mean, he got murdered by on that right hand side by Reece James in the Chelsea game. It's just, I just want to see change, and I want to see positive football, not that sit play 10 people at the back. You know what I mean? Because I mean, at least if we're I'm going off on a ramble. If we're going to play this 9 men behind the ball and have one person sitting on the halfway line, at least try to use them. That you see, Genesis' commentary was great yesterday. I thought how he was going on, because Maxman's getting the ball, trying to turn about 5 men, and then realising he's got no one up front with him. So hopefully that'll go, and we'll go to like a 4-2-3-1. I'd be happy to see us play.
Yeah, and Rob, I'll come to you next. Andy mentioned a little bit about how maybe it's a good thing that he's appointed during the international break. He'll have 2 weeks even to prepare for this game. How important do you think them 2 weeks are going to be in preparation for Brentford?
Yeah, extremely important. This is the thing. The 2 international breaks actually were quite, quick between each other, just 3 weeks apart. Like, part of me does think that the owners really had that 3 weeks in mind to go, look, we've got these 3 weeks to go out, interview who we want to see, and we need to make the decision ready for the next international break. And it looks like, well, as you say, it's not officially been announced yet, but I mean, the fact that he was sat with Amanda in a crowd pretty much says to me that it is announced. But yeah, 2 weeks. He's got 2 weeks to prepare the side to win against Brentford. Like, that's exactly what he's got. And I mean, we don't have many players in national duty, maybe 2, 3 or 4. He literally has 2 weeks to get these guys into shape, looking for that first win. I mean, Brentford were the side who've just lost against Norwich to give them their first win. I mean, they are a promoted side. He has to go there, and he has to try and find something quick. And I think, I really hope we win this game, because it will change the outlook of the season going forward. I just think if we lose another game, it's just heads are down again. I think this is the boost we needed. The new manager's in. He's got the time to work with the players. Please go and get 3 points in this Brentford game.
It's a home game as well, Adam. So, of course, we'll have 52,000 fans packed into the ground. What do you think the fans can do whilst at the game to maybe just try and motivate the squad a little bit more?
Well, just normally just chanting when the opposition got a ball, just try and get in their heads, just put them off, do what we need to. But yeah, I mean, the crowd will be ready for it, always have been, always will be. But going to this game, though, I mean, I don't know exactly what changes we'll make, to be honest. I think there's a lot of uncertainty still with this club. I feel like you will change the formation, but I think some of the out of position players are still going to be out of position for the first week or so until Eddie Howe realises. I mean, I think a guy like Matt Ritchie's still going to get played left back for another week or two, which I don't want to see. But yeah, as soon as the manager sees firsthand how bad some of these players play, I'm pretty sure it's going to change quickly. But yeah, at the minute, though, I mean, the crowd can do all it can, but at the end of the day, it's the players on the pitch I've got to perform. I mean, they're having this season so far. Was it 2-3 international breaks in there or something? So, yeah, we better turn up for that Brentford game, because otherwise, I mean, if you can't win that game, when are you going to win?
Martin Dubravka was available for yesterday's game. Do you reckon he would start against Brentford?
You should do. There was a lot of changes yesterday I didn't like. I didn't like the fact he dropped Mine Cure. I think that was a really weird one. He had a great game against Chelsea, and yet he dropped him for Murphy, who's not right back. I mean, a question for Graham Jones. Obviously, I met him on Friday. He is a lovely bloke, but yeah, I mean, his managing skills just aren't there. And I'm glad that someone else is there now to actually notice this stuff, because again, I mean, there's stuff that all of us know, that you don't play these sort of players in this position, but yet the managers just do it anyway. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I mean, the changes yesterday were just terrible. So the fact that we got a point with that squad impresses me, because that squad was awful yesterday.
We'll go around the room as well before we finish this podcast. Start with Andy. Quick score prediction.
I'm going to do an Adam. I'm going to do it. 5-0.
5-0?
5-0. New manager bounce. 5-0. Wilson hat-trick. Miggy what? Not Miggy. Maxi 1. Joe Linton to score. I'm back in J7.
I know we've got a new manager, right? But this isn't Sir Bobby Robson against Sheffield Wednesday, mate. Come on. 5-0?
9-0.
9-0. Oh, yeah. Rob, coming to you, mate. A quick score prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I'll stay positive, but I don't think I'm going to be quite as positive as Andy is. I'm going to say 3-1 to us. Wilson will have his shooting boots on. I still can't see us keeping a clean sheet, regardless of what Eddie Howe does at the back. So it'll be one of them, and then hopefully we can stick a few in the net for a new start of the season. 3-1.
We'll be like the new entertainers, I hope.
Yeah.
Adam, sorry, coming to you next.
I'm not going to go with Andrew's 5-0. I think that's a bit over the top. I'm going to go 4-0 instead.
So we've got an aggregate of 12-1 at the minute. I'll add to it.
Adam.
I'll add to it. I'll say 2-0 Newcastle. Wilson brace. Get St James's Park lifting again. Just what we need. You know, climbing out the bottom three. Well, not that game, but it's going to start the climb out the bottom three, heading towards a 14th place finish this season, right? Set in stone. I've said it there now. It's going to happen, right? 14th place, 2-0 win. But yeah, I mean, 5-0. I'd love to see a 5-0. Just get that goal difference back down. Hey,
Christ,
my God.
we'd need a lot of 5-0s in that case.
Yep, we do. Well, do you not remember when we came back up? We beat Aston Villa 6-0, West Ham 6-0.
That was
someone else 5-0.
That was the one where Joey Barton had that really bad moustache as well, wasn't he? Wasn't it? And he wasn't going to shave it off until he scored.
Until he scored, yeah. So he did like the little moustache celebration.
Yeah, Andy Carroll got a
scored a hat-trick
in that game as well. Zisco set him up for his now we've got the funds. I say we're saying how's this? No, Zisco. What is it? Let's all have a disco. Silva Navas Zisco. Just that saying David Silva, Jesus Navas, and Zisco.
Cisco. Oh my! I've got a story about Cisco actually. This will be for the end of the podcast. So I went to a friendly game. It was the season we were in the Championship. We were playing PSV. And Cisco, I think he just signed that season. It was the first game that Andy Carroll came out as a number 9. So I was there with a neighbour, my neighbour's dad, and like my neighbour's dad's mate. And at the end of the game, Cisco, Andy Carroll, and I think Leon Best are just doing like shooting drills. And Cisco scores this absolute worldie, like 30 yards out, top bins. And then all of a sudden, my neighbour's dad's mate just shouts, "Cisco, you're the man!" And just leaves.
No.
And that's probably what drove Cisco away.
I miss them, like open training days. I miss they used to do them. Used to do them in pre-season. I once Sammy Amiobi scored like absolute belter of an overhead kicking one. It's glorious. I miss Sammy.
Do you not remember
funny to watch?
Do you not remember when Joselu scored like the bicycle kick in the open training? I think it was like the last one that we did.
Yeah,
James, he scored like a class bicycle kick.
Hosselu.
Oh God!
We've had some absolute rubbish, haven't we? In the Ashley era, there's just, I mean, when you go down the list of you look at your likes of Chef Kikuchi and that place like that, and it's just that you look at the absolute dross we've had in the black and white. It's just, I can't wait to see some actual talented footballers. I mean, we do have some good players, but we'll have a lot of rubbish as well.
With a war chest, I'm sure we'll sign a couple of good players. Right. That's going to be the end of the pod. Always good to end on a story about Cisco, eh? Yes, thanks so much, Andy, Rob, and Adam for coming on once again. The Fab Four, as I'll always call it, until we get a win. Then I'll change the name of it. Thanks everyone who tuned in as well to the podcast. We'll be back next week to hopefully talk about a win. I was going to say once again, but just for once.
5-0.
5-0. 5-0. 9-0. Is yours. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you later.
See ya.